Guys, please don't kill me if I don't meet such high expectations. Very warm good afternoon to all of you, and a big thank you for being here. I'm really excited about this opportunity, and today I'll try to I'll talk about the agile life cycle. Before we start, just trying to fill a couple of dashes what Shivendra left in his introduction. I have over 13 years of IT experience where I've been managing projects using both agile as well as traditional life cycle models. Out of this, 7 years has been managing IT projects, and currently I'm working as a senior project manager, agile coach in Appster. Now, when we're talking about agile approaches to projects, how many of you feel that agile is just Scrum? Can you see your hands, please? How many of you feel agile is Scrum or Scrum is agile? Can you just see your hands? Okay. Many times what happens is, when you first hear about agile, the way agile is introduced is in the sense that, agile eliminates all management related stuff. Right? With agile, you don't need project managers anymore. Right? With agile, you don't need any planning as such. Yes or no? Are you guys with me?
Yes.
Trust me guys, nothing can be further from the truth. When we're talking about agile is actually a group of methodologies which allow you to work on software, do the development, deliver the product, deliver the project on schedule, within budget, and up to the acceptable quality limits. But the point is, when we're talking about agile, and when Shivendra approached me that, Vaibhav, can you come up and do up a session, or can you speak about agile life cycle? I said yes, why not, sure. But I decided upon something. I said it's not going to be about Scrum. I haven't mentioned the word Scrum or any other methodology for that matter in any of my slides. I might speak it, when I'm explaining those slides for the sake of it, but I haven't, mentioned that word over here. What I'm trying to cover in this is what happens when you start your sprint 1 before that. How do you reach sprint 1? How do you plan? Sounds good? I mean, guys, a louder yes or no, otherwise,
Yes.
I become nervous, trust me, seriously. So, sounds good?
Yes.
Okay. When we're talking about agile approach to projects, these are the 4 things that must be there. Anything missing, your journey with agile is not going to be as smooth as it could be, as rewarding as it could be. Number 1, work as one team. How many of us have been, software developers in our earlier life? Can you see your hands? Awesome, thank you. How many of us have been quality analysts in our earlier life? Awesome. Anyone who has been designers or something of that sort? Awesome, thank you. Thank you. And of course, we are all managers now. How many times it has happened, things went south, things didn't went as per the plan, and as a coder we said, you know what, this is a quality problem, let's throw the ball onto the quality side. How many times it has happened, as a quality analyst, as a tester, we have said, you know what, this is a development problem, they should have been knowing what they were doing, they should have at least thought what they are doing, it's a coding problem, let's throw the ball over there. And then when developers and coders get bored, what they do, they start focusing on the design, they start focusing on the requirement, they start focusing on the UI. ये तो कभी design में था ही नहीं, this was never there in the designs. Happens or not? Yes or no?
Yes. Most of the time.
Thank you. That's basically the very first tenet of agile. You work as one team. And the best example that I can give is, we are a cricket loving nation. In cricket, it's one team. Even, you remember those 90s, right? Tendulkar is scoring centuries and India team is losing every time. It's a one team. For those who don't like cricket and are still carrying B1s or L1s, let's talk about basketball. It's a 5-person game, right? It's a team sport. Either you win or you lose. Similarly, in a project, Project is like a game, it's one team. Either you win, either you deliver successfully or you don't. Someone might have, met all his KRAs, but if customer is not happy, the product is not liked, the customers are not gaining value, you're not helping the world to be a better place, as a team, you have failed. So there is no passing the buck in Agile. We work in short iterations. And I'll just combine two of these points. We also deliver something in each iteration. How many times it has happened that, let's think about slightly outside your professional lives. Most of the times, we as adults, we would have contracted someone to do our work. It could be, some maintenance at our homes. We might be having some problem with, we might be having problem with some of our, bank statements or something. We contacted someone in the support and asked them to, look after it. And they said, okay, sir, fine, we'll get back to you within 4 to 5 days. And then, within 5 days, you receive no update whatsoever. How does it feel, guys? Good? Really bad. You feel you are lost. You feel you are abandoned. You feel, yaar koi kuch dekh bhi raha hai. Is anyone even, be looking into it? Agile says, change that. What you're going to do, you're going to develop in short iterations and you're going to deliver something after each iteration. Let me give you an example. And I'm not going to give an example of the IT world over here. For example, you had, a problem with a bank, with your loan statement or with your, with your credit card, in your credit card statement, there was some charge which you claim was not supposed to be there, but the banking company claims it was very well there. What do? You call the customer support, you hear their music, fortunately you get to speak to a human voice. You register your concern. They says, okay, this is the complaint number. This thing will be rectified in 48 hours. Or this thing will be rectified in 72 hours. And slam dunk. How good it will feel if after every 24 hours you receive an update. Sir, your request is now with our senior manager. Or your request is now with our processing department. Or your request is now with our service department. Whatever their processes, whatever those tiers are. Right? That's what Agile says. Work in short iterations and deliver something in each iteration. Now this something just can't be a PowerPoint presentation. This something just can't be an Excel sheet. This something just can't be a weekly status report. This something has to be working software. Working software. Thank you so much. What do you mean by working software? Anybody?
Something which gives value to the business.
Value to the business.
Prototype with not all functionalities.
Prototype with not all functionalities.
Yes.
Anybody else? I was hearing someone.
Demonstrable.
Demonstrable. Excellent. Thank you. I'm just clubbing all these responses. These all responses are correct. Something which you can install on your computer and what? Play with it. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
That is what you need to deliver after each iteration. And as the lady here said, something which offers value. Focus on business priorities. How many times have you started project with login and sign up? Registration screen? I mean, nothing to be embarrassed about. I've also done that in my life. So if you can raise your hands. How many of you have done that? Okay, I understand. No worries. But is this what the customer wants? When you purchase a phone or when you purchase anything, do you want the login or the registration? Is that the most exciting part? No. You have to focus on the core functionality. Okay, let's say, as an example, all of you are building on WhatsApp. What's the most important feature in WhatsApp? Message. Thank you, sir. You all agree? What's the most important feature in WhatsApp? Louder response, guys. You're making me nervous.
No log-on required, no sign-up.
Instant messaging. I don't want to go for sign-up. I don't want to see my contact list. I'm okay if you just add one friend and if I say hi and he replies back in hi. That's the core functionality, right? Everything is then add on. So, as an agile, you need to do what? You need to focus on the business priorities. And finally, inspect and adapt. In project management, we have heard about a very wonderful concept called lessons learned. I have a small problem with this term. I don't know whether anyone else has ever thought about it or not. I'm sure with the August audience we have, you must have thought about it. But what do you do with lessons learned?
And friend,
I have the most honest audience here, trust me. But on a very serious
just read
note,
it and don't do anything.
what do we do with lessons learned?
Let me answer.
Guide in the
I come
notebook
from the
and forget
chemical
it for some
industry.
time.
Sir,
Lessons learned, you can't survive without adopting those lessons.
absolutely. Trust me, that is not happening in every project, that is not happening in every team, that is not happening in every industry. And those people are not bad. I'm not saying, they're doing something wrong, but that's the flow, that's the nature of it, what it has been to. Agile tries to rectify that. Agile says, you need to inspect and adopt. So in terms of lessons learned, what it should be, lessons learned and applied. But what generally happens is, and this is where, small iterations also, and this is basically, where short iterations also help. If you have short iterations, what mistakes you have learned or what mistakes you have made in the first iteration, the lessons that you have learned from that iteration, what you can do is, you can apply that in the next iteration. And likewise. So by the time you are 10 iterations old, you are what? Absolutely. You are mature. You are perfect. You are nearer to perfection. Now, let's talk about it. Let's say, we have a project. We have won that project. We have got that project. The contract is with us. RFP is done. We have a door celebration party. The champagne has flowed. Now, it's time to get dirty. It's time to get the work going. What is the first thing that we do when a team is assigned to a project or when you are assigned as a project manager to the project? Kick-off ho gaya, celebration ho gayi, party ho gayi, contract sign-off ho gaya, everyone has given you credit, done. What next?
Planning.
Requirement.
Thank you. Planning. Requirement getting planning.
Requirement assessment.
Sure. How many types of planning do we have in Agile? Anybody? How many types of planning do we have in Agile? The answer is not 2, by the way.
That's a misleading, huh?
3.
3. Can you name them? Right?
Release planning, iteration planning, and daily planning.
Excellent. That's correct. But there's more to it. We just don't have 3 types of planning. So if you look at it, I haven't plotted all of those, but just allow me to explain. I don't want to focus on the other grand level of planning right now. I'll be focusing on release planning, but just allow me to explain. So you have with you what? You have with you the day planning, the daily planning. Those of you who are familiar with Scrum, we do it through our daily stand-up. We have our iteration planning. Again, those of you who are familiar with Scrum, we do that using sprint planning. You have your release planning, which we are going to talk about shortly. Then you have your product planning. You have a product. Okay, let's talk about WhatsApp once again. WhatsApp is the product. WhatsApp gives a releases assuming after every 3 months. Yes or no? Right? There are some features that go in over there. So what you're doing in your product planning, you're saying, okay, what all features do I want to include in my product? At program management level, at portfolio level, maybe you have a whole roadmap of features that you want to introduce into your product. That is what is known as product planning. At top, you have what? Portfolio planning. You have to decide which products you want to support, which products you want to discontinue, which products have matured, which products are in a fast-growing market, so on and so forth. And last but never the least, you have the strategy planning. Okay, that happens at the C level and that level of management. For this presentation, we are going to focus on release planning and iteration planning. And that is basically where the project life cycle starts. The release planning. By the way, anytime you guys have any questions, just raise your hand. I'm more than happy to be interrupted, and we can have a discussion around that. Sounds good? Louder, please. Yes.
I have a point.
Yes, please.
Are we talking of the generics or the specifics of a particular industry or something? In the context of it?
See, my experience is in IT industry,
Right.
Based on my interactions with my peers in the other industries, Agile is not for every industry. Let's admit that thing. Where we have mission critical software, where we have mission critical products. Let's say, for example, if you're talking about sending a spaceship to moon, there are a lot of complexities involved. Everything has to be precise. When we're talking about defense, weaponry and all that, agile is not for those industries. Maybe chemical industry, where the risk is too much high and the risk of failure, the impact of failure is too huge, too risky. Agile is not the way to go. Over there, you have to have a very deft planning. The traditional waterfall model makes much more sense.
Yeah.
So,
I would beg to disagree with you on that. Basically, if you look at the concept as such, what we are talking about the agile as a concept in the IT project because it has been very popular there. But if you actually look at all other industries you talked about, they do carry out these activities. Probably they name them in a different way. So I will give you an example. Around 15 years ago, I was involved in a new product introduction and launch cycle for an automobile. It's a very complicated process. We are talking about cars, we are talking about trucks and all this. So I was trying to correlate, what all we do in the agile and whether it is back to the process which you follow in an automobile industry. There is no difference actually. Terminologies differ.
sure.
And maybe some of the activities we do not do in a different way.
Sure.
So that's it. Right?
But to the extent, Vaibhav has explained it, I am going to agree to him that every industry might not require that kind of agile management in its projects, because the project durations, they're insight into the future, that can be a little longer and maybe way complicated into implementation, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. So I agree to that extent, but yes, I second to his opinion also, because the other industries also take the agile project management in its capacity, where they have to roll out, something which in a bigger nature, but they have to go in iteration mode and all.
Absolutely.
Right? In short, this.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I mean, you saying something? Okay.
What I meant to mention here was that since I've never been to the IT sector at all, I totally agree with him because agile is inbuilt into our ways of working without giving it the name agile. I think we were using it in 1988. We were using lesson learns in 1988 when we did my first chemical project. And later on, we were taught agile and we realized, okay, it's already inbuilt into the system. There are areas of any project in any field that I have been where the subcomponents demand agile. We don't have an option. I mean, broadly it is, say, 36 months, you got to complete 36 months. There are subsections, it needs to be done today.
Absolutely.
In case of the automobile, that you were referring to, can you give us an example, like making the parts or let's say it was manufactured?
Let's take an example of car manufacturing, right? So when the cars,
for the video.
Okay. So take an example of an automobile. Okay. The first, in order to produce an automobile of a car, you first do the entire layout design. Right? Once the layout design is made, so you actually outsource the manufacture of each and every single component. And believe me, there are talking about 1 lakh components in an automobile cars. We don't know that. And you outsource, you would not be having the capacity and capability to manufacture each of these components. So either you outsource and you make in-house. And if you have outsourced or whether you have made in-house, at the development stage itself, you need to do something called a fitment analysis. Right? And so if you compare this with the methodology, the agile which we are talking about, there is every time somebody is producing a workable component. It comes together into a fitment. Okay, it is not working, give a feedback to the vendor who is supplied with the component. And he changes those things. Suppose you say, no, this is not possible, then you go back to the drawing board and change your design, the layout design. So it's an iterative process, exactly. There is a release, and this the terminology called as release planning is very much used. You have various releases. In the automobile industry, call it various versions of this. After a certain period of time, you will start producing, newer versions in them.
Releases planning is a pretty much generic
To software.
Exactly.
is used across all process frameworks. But in your case, I would like to know when you said that the vendor needs to modify or you the part, let's say it is not fitting in. Was that the final version from the vendor which we try to fit in and then we say it's part, or is it a prototype or working version? in
Exactly.
between?
Prototype is the right word to use there, and nobody, I think even if we are, whether we are producing a software or whether we are producing a meal or whether we are producing an automobile, nobody can be perfect the first time. So it goes through an iterative process. There is always, the term which I am using is fitment analysis. So prototype is somebody delivers to the prototype, you see whether it is completely aligned, it dovetails with your, the other scheme of things. And then if it is not dovetailing, then you give a feedback to the system, either to modify, as I said, modify your design, or to ask the vendor who has supplied the component, change it. A lot of time you also have to optimize on the performance of the overall unit. No, I'm just, after this entire stage, then you also optimize on the performance, depending on the cost factor that comes into the picture. So the vendor will come and say, oh, okay, fine, you want this particular component at a certain cost. Okay, instead of so much gauge of sheet metal in this why don't we use a different to reduce the weight of the curb weight of the entire vehicle and make those changes. What are the risks? There's a lot of factors. I think I would say the entire concept of agile development is very much complex and more mature in the especially in terms of the automobile. Here in the software also it is very much there. When we are talking about a big product development, we would be developing smaller and smaller pieces. He was giving the example of, very right example of portfolio. So this concept of portfolio does exist, and the terminology does exist even in the automobile industry.
Sure.
So you have a portfolio of say a certain BHD of vehicles that get manufactured, right? So different BHDs, different sizes.
Okay.
I will request you guys to follow our ground rules questions only after the presenter session. Please bear with us, otherwise we will be running out of time and out of tea as well.
Yeah.
Please.
No, but
that was relevant
just one
actually.
question, Vaibhav.
Yeah.
Like, what I have read about agile and all those things were like agile process is only like for the scenario where the requirements are not clear on the first time. Like the customer doesn't know the requirement. There are only the few generic requirements which are there, based on which the agile methodology can be implemented. Because initially we don't know what we are developing. We are just having only vague requirements, and through the agile process we implement it.
Sure. That's basically how Agile started.
Yeah.
That's basically where it came from. That's basically what was the selling factor of Agile into companies, into teams, into project teams per se. But today we are following Agile methodologies even for fixed bits, right? Where you have to have a good clarity on the requirements. The point is, we'll not do a discussion of this. Probably we can do it during tea time or something. But just I'll just brief it up in a sentence or two. Software development by nature is uncertain, right? Forget about software development. Let me give you an example. How many of you have gone on a shopping trip, either voluntarily or forced to go on a shopping trip? Can I see your hands, please? Everybody. How many times it has happened that once you left the home, you had a clear idea of the product that you wanted. Maybe a particular color jacket, or maybe a particular color shirt, or maybe a particular color apparel or something of that sort. Right? What happens? You drive, you see people on the road, some very handsome, some very beautiful. You get inspired, and by the time you reach the shop, you yourself are no longer sure whether this is the color that you wanted or not, or whether this is the exact apparel that you wanted or not. Right? If it is true for a 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 INR apparel, why will it not be true for a 1 million software project, a 10,000 USD software project, or put any numbers that you want? So software development, no matter how certain we are, how clear we are, it's inherently uncertain, right? And yeah, Agile is perfectly suited for that. Coming back to our agenda, to the slide. Just to recap, what is release planning doing for you? At the start of the project, those of you who are project managers over here, senior project managers, what does the customer wants to know from you? What does your bosses wants to know from you? How much time will it take for you to complete? And as the gentleman over here said, if you don't know the requirements, if you're not clear about the requirements, how can you even answer that question? The other thing your bosses want to know, what's the cost? how much will it cost? Primarily those three things: A, scope; B, schedule; and 3, cost. Now coupled with that you are in an agile methodology, you are working with an agile methodology, and most probably you are not clear as to what the requirements are, or you have at best a vague idea about the software requirements. How do you answer these questions? Let's talk about that. So release planning is basically where we do that. How do we do? How do we start? To begin with, we have something known as our product backlog. How many of you have heard the term product backlog before? Can I see your hands? Okay, so for those who are not familiar, thank you. For those who are not familiar, product backlog is nothing but a collection of features or a collection of user stories or a collection of items that the customer, the client wants you to build into your software. So what we do, we have a product backlog, which is, so you have your items over here, so on and so forth. Now what you do, understand, I'll be repeating this for next 5 minutes or so, but I want you to keep this at the back of your mind. You are at a situation where you are not clear about the requirements. You only have an idea. You can say, okay, I want a login feature. So what will your product backlog item contain? A login feature. Okay. You will have a sign up feature. You will have a registration feature. You will have a chat feature, depending on what product you are working on, right? There are no details. Getting me? Now what do? Once you receive your SOWs, once you receive your contracts, this is basically what you have, the list of features. The very first thing that you do is something known as estimating size. There are two ways you can do that. One is using story points, and another is using ideal days. Some people really have a lot of difficulty in understanding story points. Why? A, it is relative, and more importantly, it's very abstract. Your story point, your definition of story point, or your idea of story point will be different from my idea of story point, from his idea of story point, from her idea of story point, so on and so forth. Because it's abstract, right? But why do we do that? The reason is, and this is the mistakes we have been, committing with waterfall model, that when we are not clear, when we are not exactly clear about the requirement, and even if we are clear about the requirements, we are not sure whether these requirements will remain as is 2 months, 3 months down the line, right? We go for relative estimation. How do we do relative estimation? Come up with a number. For example, when you talk about, just think about schedule, just think about complexity, just think about effort, whatever factors you want to, and just come out with a number that, okay, on a scale, let's say our scale is 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, so on and so forth. I have a story, let's say, login. What number can I ascribe to? And these numbers, what are these numbers referring to? These numbers are referring to variety of factors. Complexity, effort, schedule, your team strength, so on and so forth. And when you're doing it, each person will give a different number. We don't have to be exact here. Someone might give 3, someone might give 2, perfectly fine. So let's say, I say it's going to be 2. Next what I do is, I pick up another story, another feature, and where I say, okay, how much is it going to take? With comparison to this, I say, what? This is going to be at least double the difficulty. So what you're doing now? You're talking relatively. What you're doing now? You're talking relatively. It's something, simple. Let me give you an example. Most of you must have gone to multiple South Indian restaurants. Yes or no?
Yes.
You have ordered masala dosa once. Now if you go to second or third restaurant, you already have an idea about the size. You don't ask the waiter, how much grams of potato are you putting in it? What's the length, of that bread, whatever you call it. Right? Why? There is a relative estimate in your mind. Same goes, if you're not a fan of South Indian food, same goes with burgers, same goes with other food items as well. Likewise, what we do is we establish a benchmark in my product backlog early on. What is that benchmark? Okay, there are these two stories. This is of basic complexity, and I have another one, where I'm going to estimate 5. Now what I'm going to do is, when I'm going to estimate these, I'm going to compare it with these two items. I have my second story. Is it going to be more complex than this? Will it involve more effort than this? What are my factors for, right? Or is it going to be less than this but more than that? Accordingly, I pick up a number. Are you guys with me?
Yes.
This is basically what we are doing when we are. This is basically what we are doing when we are estimating the size. At the end of this exercise, what I have with me is, thank you. At the end of this exercise, what I have with me is, I have estimates over here. I'm just putting arbitrary numbers. And I have a total. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, this total is what? This total is 63. Now again, gentlemen and ladies, do understand, this exercise is not a precise exercise. If you do that with the same project across different teams, you're going to get different results. We are way over that, software development is precise. It's not. So once we have estimated the size using the story points, which is a relative estimation, what do? We talk about another concept that is known as velocity. Can anyone answer what is velocity?
The throughput that we can deliver per iteration.
The throughput that we can deliver per iteration, that's correct. Anybody else? Any other definition or a simple definition?
The speed we maintain over a period of time.
The speed we maintain.
Number of story points that we can
Number of
deliver.
story points we deliver.
Exactly. Thank you. That was the words I was looking for. Number of story points that a team can deliver over each iteration. How do you arrive at that number? There are multiple ways. One is, if you have been working with this team for long, you can look at the past data and you can say, okay, you know what? This team can finish 3 or 4 equally sized stories in one iteration. 1 week, 2 week, whatever that iteration length is. Okay? The other is, you can forecast it. Okay, you know what? This is what my company wants, this is what my company defined velocity is, this is what I'm forecasting it. And the third method is a little difficult, but we all can do that, and that is, take a guess. Right? Just take a guess. Okay, you know what? My team is a bunch of superstars, we are going to deliver, we are going to take 10 as our velocity. Are you getting me? Now, once you have that velocity, once you have that educated guess about that velocity, your iteration length is what? Let's say, for simplicity, my iteration length is 1 week. What's my iteration length?
1 week.
Everybody please, you're making nervous. Louder. What's my iteration length?
1 week.
1 week. And what's my velocity?
10.
10. No, God. What's my velocity? Something simple. 10 will be too much. You can kill the team. They will just, start applying.
No,
Naukri.com.
we were just taking the input from you.
Sorry.
So it will be 1 or 2.
Let's agree at 5.
Yes.
Okay. Our velocity is what? 5. So if I have 63 story points, how much time will this team take to deliver all those 63 story points?
13 weeks.
You divide 63 by 5, you get the answer as 13 weeks. I'll add on maybe 2 weeks of hardening, 2 weeks of integration testing, 2 weeks of UAT on top of it. So at a rough estimate, whatever is visible to me now, my schedule is going to be what?
4 months.
4 months or 15 weeks or 16 weeks, whatever that math is. Are you getting me? Now, when I was discussing story points, I could see, some of you were uncomfortable with this, which is very natural because this is abstract. We want to be accurate, right? We want to be accurate. At least in software, we want to be accurate. What is another way of estimating if you're not comfortable with story points?
Function points.
Not really. Function point adds a whole lot of complexity. But anyway, that's a topic for separate conversation. You can also estimate using ideal days. What is an ideal day? What is an ideal day? by definition, an ideal day is when a software developer is just coding. He's not disturbed by his manager, people like me, into meetings, into chit chat and stuff like that. He doesn't have to attend any corporate, event or something, any organization-wide activity, any training or something of that sort. Okay, I mean they are all good, trainings are good, but he's just focusing on software development. He's just coding. So we can say, okay, an ideal day can be a 6-hour day. An ideal day can be a 7-hour day. An ideal day can be a 5-hour day. So if I'm just coding and doing nothing else, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to finish this in 2 days. Now 2 days means 10 hours or 2 days means 2 ideal days. And internally, as a manager, you can do the maths. Okay, 1 ideal day is equal to 1.5 calendar day, so on and so forth. And likewise, we can come up with an estimate. Or, to keep it more simple, you can have ideal days estimate over here. Calculate your velocity using ideal days. And then do the same maths. This is basically how you do your release planning. But gentlemen and the ladies, do understand one thing. This is not something which is cast in stone. This is what you know about the product, about the software now, today. Let's say, as an example, let's say you plan to take a journey. You say, okay, let's take a weekend trip from here to Chandigarh. Okay. Now, I don't know exactly, but Chandigarh is what, 250 kilometers from here? Right? Ideally, if you're driving at, 60 kilometers per hour and you take a short break, it's going to take you what? Maybe 5 hours to reach?
Right.
That's your release planning. But will it actually take you 5 hours? Most probably not. What do? You adjust as you go along. You remember we talked about inspect and adapt? Lessons learned and application? That's basically what you do. And as they say, no plan is accurate. No plan survives the touch with reality. So this is what? This is a plan to begin with. This is what we are targeting. This is what we are working with. Are you getting my point?
So when we are talking about size, why are we talking about velocity? Because with velocity we'll be able to get the number of the duration of the schedule. But I mean, how does it come into picture when we're just talking about the size as such?
No, why am I talking about velocities? Once you've estimated the size, why are you estimating the size? Because you want to...
I mean, why I interrupted, because I mean, eventually even to be able to get to velocity, first you are getting into the story points. So essentially velocity isn't something quite separate from story points.
Story points are always
No, I mean velocity is basically, as the gentleman over there said, velocity is basically your throughput per iteration.
Right, but how does
you can measure that either using story points. You can measure that either using ideal days. You can either measure that using number of lines per code. Whatever metric you want to use, that's your choice. Agile gives you and your team the utmost flexibility to do that. To answer your question, why am I even talking about over here is, once I've done estimating, once I have done the estimation, once I have this number, how will I translate this into schedule? That is basically where velocity comes into picture. Ma'am, you had a question.
Now I have so many questions, so I'm not sure if I want to disrupt your pace.
Fair enough. So is it okay if we keep that
Let me interrupt in between. After this session, we have only 5 minutes left. We have a tea break. You can get on backstage, caught him, and let him finish. 5 minutes.
You will be with me to the tea break, right?
Yeah. I will with you.
So when it comes to release planning, we just discussed. You prepare. How do you prepare a release plan? This was the example. What I was talking about. This was the example which I wanted to do. And then comes selecting an iteration length. We chose 5. It can depend on many factors. Okay, your iteration, your sprint can be 1 week, can be 2 weeks, can be 3 weeks, depending upon how uncertain your requirements are. If they are very uncertain, the idea is have a shorter iteration. If they are quite certain, at mid-level certainty, okay, we can at least assure, we can at least guarantee that for 2 weeks there's not going to be any changes. Have a 2-week iteration. Complexity. Is project too technical complex, or the project does it has too much technical uncertainties as respect to functional uncertainties? What do we do then? we have a shorter iteration because we have to do a lot of spikes to make sure that we are not getting into the roadblock. So the point is, the idea is, one, an iteration length will differ from team to team, will differ from project to project, will differ from uncertainties to uncertainties, technical uncertainties, functional uncertainties, so on and so forth. Now, once you have done the release planning, right, now you know this is going to take me 15 weeks to complete the project. What is the next step? How do you plan the next step? You do something known as your iteration planning. When you're talking about iteration planning, there are two ways to do that. When you're talking about iteration planning, there are two ways to do that. One is velocity-driven iteration planning, and another is what? Commitment-driven iteration planning. Let's discuss both of them briefly, okay? What is velocity-driven iteration planning? This is something simple. Even before that, let's take a step back. What are we doing in iteration planning? What are we doing in iteration planning? Release planning में हम लोगों ने क्या किया? What we did? We had a plan for the entire project. Are you with me? Yes or no?
Yes.
What are we doing in iteration planning? We are planning for the one iteration. If you are from Scrum, we are planning for one sprint. Exactly. How do you do that? If you're using velocity-driven iteration planning, it's pretty easy. You know what your velocity is? What was our velocity in the example?
5.
All of you. What was our velocity in the example? 5. So how many stories you are going to pick?
10. 5.
Maybe for 2 weeks.
5. You are going to pick.
5.
You are going to pick the items which total 5 story points. Are you all with me? Yes or no?
Yes.
You also need prioritization. I mean, you can't just pick any 5 story.
Very, very valid point. Very valid point. What I'm assuming over here is my product backlog is already prioritized. But you are absolutely correct. Bang on, sir. So once I've done that, what I do, I say, okay, you know what? I'm going to pick up stories worth 5 story points. That is going to be my commitment for this iteration. So based on this calculation, if I'm able to deliver 5 story points per iteration, I'll be able to finish my project on time, within budget, on schedule, and plan for the project launch party. Yes or no?
Yes.
When it comes to commitment-driven planning, that's slightly different. What do you do in this case? You pick a first story, you divide, okay, you know, you understand it, you distribute it into tasks, you distribute it into, you know, dependencies, so on and so forth. Then you ask the team, can we pick this up in this sprint? If the team says yes, you put this story into the iteration. If the team says no, you remove that story. You ask, okay, why not? Maybe there is a technical uncertainty. Maybe we need more clarity on the requirements. Maybe there are some things which are not clear about it. Fair enough. Let it go to the, you know, next item on the backlog, or we'll plan for a spike, or we'll do something about it. But what's happening? What's the difference? In commitment-based planning, after you have done the due diligence on each and every story, you are asking the team, can we commit to this in this iteration? If yes, we put it in the sprint backlog. If they say no, we see what we need to do about it. Either have a spike in the current sprint, in the current iteration, and pick up the story in the next iteration, or we go to the product owner and ask for more details. We repeat this for each story. Once the team says, okay, you know what, we are done for this iteration, our capacity is full, we can't take more stories. We say, fine, you know, we are done with our iteration planning using commitment-based approach. Does this sound good?
Yes.
Yes? And we'll have time for question and answers, if not during this session, during the tea break. But do you understand the principle? Do you understand the concept? A yes or no, please?
Yes.
Thanks. So, enough of planning. We are done with planning. Now what do we do? As project managers, we ask our team to execute. What do we do? As a managers, what do we do? Tracking, monitoring, and, you know, communicate about it. How do we track? We have to track both the release plan and the iteration plan. How do we track that? So, let's say for simplicity's sake, we have our stories and we have a task. Okay? We have done what? We have estimated how much time it is going to take for us to complete each task. We have a total hours with us for that particular iteration. Yes or no?
Yes.
Once again, we have stories. During our iteration planning, we have discussed, we have deliberated upon those stories. When we have discussed, we have deliberated on stories, what have we received? We have received tasks. Yes?
Yes.
We have given estimates in hours for each task or whatever unit you guys are familiar with, ideal hours, ideal days, story points, whatever it is. Let's for simplicity's sake assume hours. Okay? You have done hours. Once you have done this, you will have what? You will know in this entire iteration how many hours of work I have to do. Yes or no?
Yes.
So let's assume this is a 5-day iteration, 3, 4, 5. And I have with me what? I have with me total 60 hours of work. Those you can't see in the back, this is actually 60, trust me. So we have what? We have 60 hours of work. Okay? How do you monitor your iteration plan? Your team comes for daily stand-up. You ask them those 3, philosophical questions. What were you doing yesterday? What are you planning to do today? And any blockers. Right? Most importantly, you also ask them to update your iteration plan. Very briefly and very quickly. For example, there was this task, it was supposed to consume 4 hours. There are going to be 2 things that is going to happen. Either the remaining hours will increase, the person worked on it for 8 hours but he still needs 4 hours more, or he completed that task in case 0 hours remaining, or for XYZ reason he couldn't start on the task and the remaining hours will still remain as 4. Are you with me?
Yes.
Everyone, are you with me?
Yes.
Once we have updated the remaining hours against each task for the last day, because at any point of time team will be working on just 2 or 3 tasks, right? So you just need to update it for 2 or 3 tasks, rest all will remain same. Something which has not started, uska remaining estimate bhi differ nahi karega, correct? Once you've done this, you take a total. Now what do? You say, okay, you know what? If I have an ideal team, an ideal place, an ideal project, an ideal world, an ideal universe, my team will be burning this thing like this. Correct? Now what you do, you estimate, okay, how much hours is still going to take at the end of day 1. This could be what? It's going to take us still 55 hours. This is what is my actual progress. It's a new iteration. There are a lot of uncertainties. There are a lot of things which are not clear. There were a lot of discussions happening. Team was probably not able to focus on the work. So the remaining hours are still more. But as the iteration goes, okay, now after day 2, once I've repeated this exercise, what will happen? Now the remaining hours are close to 50. Getting closer, but not good. Day 3, the team has picked up pace, the team has understood the things, they have completed many things. Now, how many hours are remaining? Team did a wonderful job, now we have got just 25 hours of work remaining. Okay? At any point of time, if your manager comes and asks, or if your boss comes and asks you, how is your iteration plan doing? Let's say it's day 1, and I am that boss whom you all hate, and I come first thing in your morning and I say, how much time is it going to take for you to complete the iteration? And most importantly, bosses don't even ask a question in so many words. They just come and drop the bomb. Okay, Vaibhav, are we on time? Okay. What do? I simply, and my answer will be, what, boss, no, but I'm a hard worker, I'll keep it up and we'll manage. The answer is the point is that you have an answer. Likewise, when he comes and asks you on iteration 3, and he says, Vaibhav, are we on time? My answer is yes, sir. Ahead of time. That's how you do your, that's how you track and monitor your iteration planning. Are you guys with me? Yes. And finally, hopefully if all goes well, you should be able to, complete it on time. If there were uncertainties, if there were spikes, if there was something which didn't go as per the plan, you will not be able to complete, the work per se, or excuse me, you will be able to complete it early, or other way around, you might be able to, some amount of work will still be left, which goes for the next iteration. This is, if you are from Scrum, this is what we call as sprint burn down chart. And a slightly different version of this, is known as the release burn down. क्या change होता है उसमें? कुछ खास नहीं, nothing major. Instead of hours, we have story points. Instead of days, we have iterations. Excellent. Everyone, instead of days, what do we have? Iterations. So it's iteration 1, iteration 2, so on and so forth. After end of each iteration, you just determine how much story points are left. With a velocity of 5, ideally we should have burned 5 story points and left with 63 minus 5, what? 58 story points. If we are doing that, we are on track. If we are left with 57, we are doing better. If you are left with more than 58, there's trouble brewing up. That's how you track your project progress.
So how frequently this iteration plan can be updated?
Every day if you want to. Every day if you want to. That's what I planned for, guys. Thank you. So much.
There is no choice.
Ideally should be
We'll just
daily.
They are going to give you very dirty looks.
Thanks a lot, Vaibhav, for the nice session, and I'll also thank you all for making this session so interactive.